Welcome to Sausage on a Fork, a podcast dedicated to the UK's longest running children's drama programme, Grange Hill. My name's Neil, and in each episode I'll interview a former cast member about their life before, during and after their time on the programme. Okay, welcome to the 100th episode of Sausage on a Fork. I am absolutely delighted to say that I have been joined for this episode by none other than John Holmes, who played Gonch Gardner. John, welcome to Sausage on a Fork.
Thank you for having me, Neil. Thank you for having me.
Not at all, not at all. Well, what we'll do, John, is we'll start this episode the way we start every episode. And if you could tell us how you first got into acting.
Okay, so you'll obviously have had some of your other guests from Islington, North London. So my parents, actually, they're both from Yorkshire, but they met in London.
Right.
And they got married and bought a house in Holloway, in Islington, North London. So that's where I grew up. And I don't know how my parents got wind of Anna Scher's,
Right.
but they did. I can't. There was no one from my school who went to Anna Scher's, and I don't think there were any family friends. At least none that were there when we eventually started. So my sister and I would have been 8 and 7, or even 7 and 6. So you couldn't start until you were 6. And you're probably aware that it was just, you put your name on a waiting list. It wasn't an audition or anything like that. It was just, and I think then, so we're talking 1977, I would say, maybe, yeah, I would say 77. You put your name on a waiting list, and then it wasn't a huge wait to get into the class. The lessons were then so they worked with school years. So the junior group from 6 to 11 was on a Tuesday and Thursday, right, either 4:30 till 6 or 6 to 7:30. And then once you turned 11, it was Monday and Wednesday, and the same choice for an hour and a half, and 20 pence a lesson. Right. It was an after school activity. Right. It wasn't either for my sister Kelda, or I. We weren't banging on our parents' door saying, let us go to drama classes. Yeah. I think, to be honest with you, it suited our parents so they could go to their political meetings and various other things that they could basically pick us up from Anna Scher's at 7:30, or my dad would. And it was, something for the kids to do.
Yeah. And so
2 days a week.
Were you there with anyone who we might have heard of?
Well, all of those, Lee McDonald. I've been thinking about the ones that Mark Burdis.
Oh yeah,
was very, very larger than life. He was like particularly when I moved into the because he's probably 3 or 4 years older than me. So he was he was always around, very. A big presence, but Lee would have been there. Maluki would have been there. So if you know all these people, so Lee McDonald, Maluki Christie, Melissa Wilkes, John Alford, John Drummond, Tina Marn, from other programs, Marmalade Atkins, and
Charlotte Coleman.
Yeah, Charlotte and Lisa Coleman, Mark Monero, obviously the older ones. So Kathy Burke and were there, but they were a little bit older than us. So, and Linda and Pauline, Robson and Quirk, Phil Daniels were all a bit older, obviously, and some of them would have left. But we'll probably come on to it. But I wasn't aware of it at the beginning, but they had and maybe they didn't even have a wall with what people were doing when I first started. I think because it grew. Yeah. But you'd be aware so maybe you sort of 1980 onwards, there was a wall and it had the what people were doing, what professional work people were doing, and you'd see these the names of the other the people who were doing.
But did that then make you think, I want to start doing stuff? like that?
Not
No.
really. Honestly, I was thinking about it, knowing that this interview was coming along about, what was sort of going on in my head. And I honestly, it was my sister's slightly different, but I think it was just something to do. If it had been a
Yeah.
football club on a Friday or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever on a Saturday or whatever, I didn't have a real passion for
Right.
it. And I said,
I
I
get you.
don't think I don't think we even were pressing our parents to go there. I think our parents said, well, why don't you do this? And they wouldn't have made it. They wouldn't have forced us to go. I mean, they were, the way this Anna Scher's worked. You put your name on the waiting list. You turned up. You did the class. You paid your 20 pence. But if you didn't like it, you left. I
Yeah.
mean, there's lots of people there, I presume, who you know, tried it and it wasn't for them. But I mean,
Yeah.
it was. She's amazing teacher.
Yeah.
It was, you kind of definitely learnt some things, and she was a good, I mean, I'm sure again you've probably heard from other people who attended there that she didn't see her role just to try and produce professional actors. She wanted to try and produce well-rounded individuals
Yeah.
who, kind of understood about their responsibilities and about you know,
Yeah.
uh, how to approach work and how to approach life and to an understanding of the wider world and about,
Brilliant.
I mean, incredible teacher. But I still, I wouldn't say that either to begin with or even after, 10 years of professional work, I didn't come out at the end of it thinking, this is it. I want to be an
Yeah.
actor.
Yeah. I
I
get
didn't.
you.
I
Yeah.
didn't have it at the beginning, and I didn't have it at the end. I was very grateful for the opportunities, and I loved the work I did. But I was thinking about it. It was. If people probably had to describe me at work, I would say I'd be more on the professional side.
Yeah.
Learning my lines, hitting the marks.
Yeah.
Turning up and doing it. I don't think everyone would say, "Oh, he was the one who was."
Right. I get you. Yeah.
Passionate or like
Yeah.
he was always thinking about the next job or the
Yeah.
you know
But you did get like some work before Grange Hill. Like so
yeah,
you
no,
were
I
in
was
recruitment.
I was again, I think it was, the timing was good that the Anna Scher's as a children's theatre suddenly became a kind of a real sort of um kind of, what would you call it, like a flame to a moth or something.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah. Moth to the
casting
flame, yeah.
directors coming because they saw uh, the the young actors who were sort of coming through Anna Scher's had something a little bit different
Mhm.
from the stage school
Yeah.
crowd that was, Sylvia Young's, Italia Conti, Barbara Speaks, Arts International. There were Ricky was with it's more like it wasn't a full-time stage school,
Yeah.
was it? It was
No. Yeah.
more an agency. Um, yeah, so I think it was just good timing, and so yeah, no, Nanny was like my first sort of speaking role. So 2 episodes with
With
Wendy
Wendy
Craig
Craig.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
series in 79, I reckon,
Yeah.
79 or 80.
That was your first
That
proper.
was the first. I did about 50 of us from Anna Scher's did a film called Memoirs of a Survivor,
Right.
where we were all sort of extras. It was a sort of a futuristic film with Julie Christie and Christopher Guard
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and Michael Medwin. And I don't think it was a great film, but it was an adult film. It was an 18. Anyway, they required a huge number of children to act as like these sort of street urchins, and it was horrible, horrible. They had to put like this thing in our hair and make us all look like. And I remember the pay wasn't bad in any case, but they actually gave children £20 cash on the day.
Brilliant.
20 pound in 1978 to do something like, I think it was like eating off the floor. Seemed to be, it was
Yeah.
deemed to be a little bit beyond what was probably
Yeah.
to be expected for the normal fee. So they kind of just said, who wants to do this? Here's £20. And obviously
Well,
most
just
people were.
just think what Gunch could have done with that 20
Yeah,
quid.
yeah, it would. No, it was too successful for My scheme. So that was there were loads of us who did that. So I think that was my first paid gig, as it were, but it was
Right,
not a speaking part, and
right,
you'd probably struggle to see me among
right.
the crowd. Um, so yeah, Nanny was the first speaking part. So 2 episodes for sort of prime time. I
Yeah.
remember we got a picture in the Radio Times. It was, it was.
And then you became the star of a film. Then after
Then
that,
in Yeah, so in 1981,
right.
we filmed it. Yeah, Children's Film Foundation film. Me and a guy called Mark, also from Anisher's, did it was a Michael Maud-Pergo
Uh-huh.
book, Friend or Foe, and we filmed it in Beaconsfield over the summer. So actually, I missed a holiday to France.
Right.
And funny about the connections. It'll come to me now. Other people who were at Anna Scher's at the time. So Dexter Fletcher with his two
Yeah.
brothers, Steve and Graham, were at stalwarts of,
Right.
and their mother, Wendy, was one of the chaperones on the books. Really, so she obviously must have chaperoned her children, but she also chaperoned others, and including me. So for 4 or 5 weeks of that summer, she picked me up every morning, drove to
Yeah.
Beaconsfield, and was with me as we filmed. Because obviously, when you're under 16, you need
Yeah.
a chaperone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
No.
obviously, Lee McDonald's mum was a chaperone.
Yeah.
Alison Bedell's mum was a chaperone.
Yeah.
Dexter Fletcher's mum was a
Yeah.
chaperone, and probably a few others, but those
Brilliant.
three definitely.
But see, the thing with Friend or Foe is, I first saw that in junior school, so it would have been
Right,
round about 85, 86,
right,
right?
yeah,
So you were in Grange Hill when that. So it was
right.
it
You're
was one
thinking,
of
oh,
them.
this man's he's
It was
everywhere.
it was one of them. Where like they had the big projector in school with the two
Right,
reel to
yeah.
reel thing, and I've never forgotten almost every kid in the hall saying, "There's Gunch," like, all at the same time when you came on this, and that was 40 years ago. And
Yeah,
I've never forgotten that noise. There's Gonch.
that's Gonch. I don't think
Brilliant.
that many people saw it. It was interesting. It was uh, that through the sort of 60s and 70s, Children's Film Foundation made these films that were really for Saturday morning cinema. And that had kind of died off. But the film was only an hour and maybe an hour and 5 minutes. So too short, really, for a feature
Yeah.
in the cinema. So that kind of was a bit betwixt and between as to what they did with it. But it was like, it was, well, it won some award in Berlin, I think. We never
Right.
got. I know I didn't get to go and pick it up. I think. It was like someone told me it. But yeah, that was. And again with with John.
John Barden.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
And and then there was something else with Jane Asher and James Fox called Runners.
Runners. It was really a very small part, but
Yeah.
well paid. I remember.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I played a child on a train who looked like her lost son,
Right. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, but yeah,
Brilliant.
famous actors. Yes.
Okay. So we move on to Grange Hill. So how did that come about?
So just shows you how the sort of the sort of the roller coaster or the swings and roundabouts with acting work.
Uh-huh.
So I'd been in a play, again a very good play, Cyrano de Bergerac
All
for
right.
the
Yeah.
RSC in the Barbican in the previous autumn. So it was in repertory. So it was like 2 performances, and then you'd be off for 3 weeks, and then another with Derek Jacobi and
Wow.
really amazing play. Actually,
Yeah.
we did it in 2 pairs of 2 children, so we alternated, so we didn't do every
Right. Yeah.
performance. So we actually got to see the play once
Right.
towards the end. So we sat and they gave us some seats to watch it, and really fantastic play. Anyway, that finished around spring of '84, and they did take it on a tour of Europe, and they were really, really, as I understand, they were really, really close to saying to Rupert and I that we would go with them
Right.
that summer of '84 on this European tour. And in the end, because of licensing issues and what have you, they decided to use female actors to play the children's
Right.
part. Um, so that's one kind of sort of coincidence that kind of meant I was not working in the summer of '84. And the other thing that was kind of fortuitous was that obviously I was when they were auditioning, so that you'd be aware from obviously talking to others that it's when it comes around that they cast their net fairly wide, because
Yeah.
if you've got 8 to 10 new characters, so obviously they normally it would be every couple of years. So you had Tucker and Benny, then you had I imagine sort of Stew Pot, Claire, and
Yeah.
Gripper. Then you had Zamo, Jack, etc. And then they had 3 year gap.
Yeah.
So they went from those to us coming in broadcast in '85. So we
Yeah.
were E1, I think E1.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when Phil's written the outline characters, I think they cast their net fairly wide. And they probably see, at least initially, every 11-year-old. Funny enough, everyone normally was older than the part they were playing, with the exception of Simone Nylander, who played Janet,
Yeah.
who was
Yeah.
younger
Yeah.
than the character. I think literally she may be the only one who was. Again, because it also, because of licensing, it suits them to have slightly older children, because you
Yeah.
can work more days, etc., and you're maybe a bit more mature. And
Uh-huh.
anyway, so they're auditioning January, February, March. Of '84, and at that point I'm 13, coming on 14, and I wasn't auditioned at all.
Right.
I wasn't considered. I think they just said, right, we'll be looking at the 11, 12
Uh-huh.
year olds, because actually I'd got quite close. So obviously I'm a similar age to Lee and Melissa,
Yeah.
and I'd gone through the auditions for Jonah,
Oh, wow. Right.
and I'd got to within. Again, I'm not, it's a little bit. Maybe I've got sort of rose tinted spectacles about. I'm sure I was like down to like the last few
Right.
for Jonah.
Well, thingy, funnily enough, Alex Lowe, who plays, Clinton Baptiste in Phoenix Nights,
Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
he auditioned for Jonah as well,
yeah.
and he said he got down to the last few. Yeah, because
Really?
he was in Grange Hill as an adult. He's been on here. He was only in
Right.
3 episodes, but he said he auditioned for the part of Jonah
Yeah.
as well, and got down to it the last few.
Yeah,
Like,
because Lee Sparks obviously got it and was very good.
yeah,
And then maybe I was too young, if you see what I mean, because I was
right.
quite, it really well. Might come to it about how I shot up in my first year, but so I was obviously close to puberty, but I hadn't
Right,
uh,
yeah,
at 13. So anyway, maybe I was too small here, but I got quite close
yeah,
in that generation. So Zamo and Jonah and that generation. So I wasn't auditioned, and actually another guy from Anna Scher's called Daniel. Uh, he was offered the part,
right. Wow,
um, and his parents, maybe wisely, said when they found out what the expectations were in terms of how much school would be missed and etc., they pulled him out. They said no, you
right,
can't do it.
wow,
So, and they obviously then didn't have an obvious second choice, because they went to Anna Scher's at least, and I presume others, and said, "Is there anyone we haven't seen um,
yeah,
that we can maybe look at and see if they're suitable?" So I do remember we had a kind of a very small, because the way I don't, maybe again other people will have said that when these auditions happened, the very first ones, you'd kind of it would just be part of the normal
yeah,
class. So everyone sat around, and then they might just say, well, listen, we're just going to be looking at these 3 children, and we want you to do this. Normally, this improvisation exercises. So there's normally a starting line.
yeah,
You really make me mad, and then you just do your little impro for a minute, and whoever's watching gets to see you. And
Yeah.
so I remember actually me, John Drummond, who also I don't think had been seen.
Well, he said he went for the part of Gunch.
Gonch, yeah.
Yeah,
So he
yeah,
hadn't
yeah.
been seen originally because he's quite big, and there was a third person. Then I've just got this kind of memory that it was just three of us, and we did our little bit, and then we all went into a little, not separately, went into a little, like a sort of almost like a cupboard
Right.
behind the main thing with the producer Ben Ray was the producer for that series. So not Phil or actually Phil I don't think was ever involved in the auditioning process. He just did storylines, characters, etc. So yeah, I had a chat with Ben for I don't know 20 minutes or something, and then literally I was offered the part.
Brilliant.
And my parents didn't say no. But I think if they'd known how much school I would miss and how it would impact on my kind of
Yeah.
they might have
Yeah, right.
they might have done the same as Daniel's parents. Yeah.
So were you a fan of Grange Hill?
No.
At the time? No.
I've never really watched it.
Right.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
To be honest, we didn't watch a lot of television. I don't think we just so I would have seen episodes, but it wasn't like I'm going to sit down, and watch it like every Tuesday and Thursday or whatever it was back then, probably Tuesday and Thursday. It was always in that sort of slot after instead of Blue Peter, wasn't it? It was either Blue Peter or Grange Hill.
Do you know what? It was Tuesday and Friday, and the reason
the
reason I know that is because we used to go to see me nan on a Tuesday and Friday, and she had a black and white telly. So I had to watch Grange Hill in black and white till I was about 14 or 15, if I'm completely honest.
Gosh.
So that's how I know.
That's how you know it was Tuesday and Friday. No, I would have, and I said, so I would have known who, obviously, because Terry Supat was at Anna Scher's. I think Todd was, but I never saw him.
Right.
I think he was so busy, you know what I mean? He kind of, and obviously Trish Yates,
Michelle.
Michelle she was Anna Scher's. Yeah. So I think I would have seen the odd episode, but I would definitely not call myself a fan.
Right. Okay, no. All right. No. So you started in it went, as you said earlier, it went on air, Series 8, it went on air in 85.
Yeah.
And you joined as Gonch Gardner. Now, whenever I'm putting an episode of the podcast online, I put picture clues online throughout the week before. The first person that guesses who that guest is for that week, for that episode, gets to ask the next guest a question. So I've got a question for you. It's from someone called Mark Jelfs.
Right.
And Mark's question is, where did the nickname Gunch come from? What was the stem for? Was there one? Do you know?
I know because I remember either someone asked me or it was just it. As far as I'm aware,
right,
it was only ever referred to once.
Okay.
And someone said, so I said I'm Luke, but everyone calls me Gonch. Yeah. And someone said, why? And I said, I don't know. And that was it. It was never, you have to ask Phil Redmond. Honestly, my recollection is that it was only ever referred to once. And my response was, I don't know.
Right, okay.
And so there is no reason. Yeah. It's just Phil Redmond thought, Luke, Gonch.
That's it.
I'm afraid that has to be a question for Phil.
Right. Okay.
But I think it was referred to just once in the series, in the first series.
I really thought you were going to give me a tremendous answer, then. Like I have to say,
I think it was only ever mentioned once by another character, and the answer was no.
So your first scene It was,
Yes.
as I say, it was the year of the big merger that'd been the merger with Grange
Right.
Hill and Rodney
Yeah.
Bennett and Brooklyn. And your first scene is you were walking to
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
and you get stopped by Callie, who
Ali. Yeah. Simone. Yeah.
didn't know the way, and could she walk with him? So he says, yeah, and they get talking, and he tells her she'll get picked on more than him because her name was higher up in the register. Picked on by the teachers, not by the
Yeah.
other
Because she
kids.
was D.
Because
Yeah.
she was D, and he was just like, well, the way Gunch's brain was working there, the logic behind that, because they don't know the kids, so they'll go through the register and they'll ask.
Yeah.
They ask higher up in the register on that, and she also had a box with it, which we'll come to later on.
Yeah.
But was that animal in that box all the way through it? Was it always there in every scene, or just to the very end?
I don't. I think only at the very end.
Right. Okay.
I think. Yeah. I don't think. I remember the. I remember walking down because I had the earphones as well, didn't I?
Yeah. Your RS20s.
That's it. RS. And that's John Drummond again. That comes back to. And yeah. No, I don't think we did. I think only when at the end.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that. So that summer of '84, where we were filming like those first scenes in the playground and what have you, that was the last year that we basically filmed all of the exterior scenes. So we did all of the. So from episode 1 to 18,
yeah,
we filmed between June and September.
Right.
For all 18 episodes, and then we went to rehearse and then studio in Wight City, so TV Centre. That was the last year, and then of course in '85 we moved everything to Boreham Wood with EastEnders and Holo, and we did everything just in blocks. So everything was with the same film camera units, you know. And so it did lead to this bizarre situation that we, especially, and I choose myself because I did go through this sort of growth spurt. Right. So if the keen-eyed will notice, and it's most obvious in episode 18. So we would have filmed like I mean, it was a car park, but let's say the playground for episode 18 in, let's say, July. We then filmed the corridors and classroom for episode 18 in January. So it was already being broadcast and we were still filming the last episode.
Wow, yeah.
So it ran that way. It ran all the way through. And the keen-eyed will notice that I'm walking through from the outside through the doors into like the stairs up with Mrs. Booth, the Arctic. Yes?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's her. As we walk towards the door, I am definitely shorter than her.
Right.
We walk through the door, I am taller than her. Honestly, because I've grown about 4 inches or, in the course of between that summer, that year, really, or 9 months. I'm not sure that's the only reason they changed the whole structure of their filming.
You're the reason.
But they said it's this continuity nightmare. We filmed all of that stuff. It was in completely random order. And lots of different locations. We were the Holborn Law Tutors in Fulham was still the main playground, but then we were doing stuff in all parts of northwest London, and so people would see us everywhere.
And then, obviously, Gunch did form the partnership with Holo.
Yeah.
But obviously, at first, they didn't get on. They didn't see eye to eye. Holo crashed into Gunch on his bike, and Mr. Smart thought he was concussed, but he was just listening,
headphones in,
listening to his Walkman. And then Mr. Smart then gets Gunch to write an essay on sensory deprivation. For some reason, Mr. Smart had a real bugbear about Walkmans, and to this day, I can never work it out why he didn't like them. And obviously, Holo let Gunch take all the blame for the whole accident and crashing into, so they arranged to have a fight.
Right.
At the end of that episode, Gunch had seen some lads trying to rob Holo's bike. So Gunch went over to stop them, and Holo was like, it'd be a bit stupid for us to fight now, wouldn't it? And one of the greatest partnerships ever in Grange Hill history was formed there and then. And also in that episode, we've mentioned like John Drummond, Trevor Cleaver was there trying to throw his weight around. And
interesting thing about, I don't know if John said the same thing, that as you said, John auditioned for Gonch. And I think Trevor Cleaver wasn't one of the main characters.
Right.
And I think John, through his sort of personality and whatever, kind of forced the writers to kind of, change their plans somewhat.
Because he's so good. He's so good as Cleaver.
And I think, and he had this, and again, he had that thing with Steve and Vince, that they were kind of like, something between them.
They were like hard knocks as well at the time, weren't they? Like, so, we've mentioned that Trevor was like trying to throw his weight around, and Gunch wouldn't have it. Trevor was like, I'm sitting there, and Gunch was like, well, I didn't realize I had to book in advance and all that. He wasn't letting them go. And then there was the Walkman was mentioned by Miss Washington, and she made him put his Walkman away in his bag. Now, the only reason I'm mentioning this is because I think this scene revealed what I believe to be a bit of a flaw in Gunch's character, and that is the bag was a Liverpool bag. Whose choice was that?
Mine.
Oh, no. At the end of interview.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I should really be an Arsenal fan.
Right.
Because of where I grew up. And they were the first team that I saw. And my mum was a counsellor in Islington. So I even got to go to the victory reception for their 1979 FA Cup win in the town hall. I got all their autographs. It was great. But I don't know. I never really kind of followed through with it. And then I did. I called my cat Dalgleish.
Wow.
I did. And that kind of carried on. I kind of had a soft spot for Liverpool. But then it wasn't because of the fire at Bradford, and it wasn't because of anything that Liverpool any issues they had with Europe or anything. It was just that my dad's from Bradford, and I was kind of thinking, listen, I've got no connection with Liverpool at all. They've just been the most successful team while I was growing up, and I've got an issue now with my son who wants to support Manchester City, which is, I'm doing everything I can, everything I can to try and bribe him and persuade him not. But his cousin, who also has no connection with Manchester City, but anyway, so basically from the mid 1980s, I kind of was moving more towards Bradford City, but I don't think I'm not sure they had Did they have bags with Bradford City on? I don't know. Not easily, not for BBC.
They didn't have any round here.
Get their hands on.
You had an Everton one or a Liverpool one round here. That was it. There was no other choice. Like,
no, but I'm sorry to say, I think I did. I'm guessing they did, because they wouldn't just have given Liverpool to me, because there's no reason for Gonch to support Liverpool. It's not because George wasn't in then.
No, he wasn't.
It can't be from George. No. So I think it was. I think it was me. I think I did at that point. I think in '84 I would have said, I'll have Liverpool.
Not just a flaw in Gonch's character, but your own as well. Is what you're telling me. So, like I say, there was this thing with the Walkman. The Walkman then went missing. Gonch assumed it was Cleaver had taken it from his bag. And then we found out that Callie had taken it to stop Cleaver taking it, and she put it in the box with Percy, I think he was called. And Percy was
a snake,
a grass snake.
And you're right, we only saw it at the very end.
But were you comfortable with it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would, because it was John who was supposed to be terrified, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure if. No, I think Simone was all right with it. I think she did it.
You look really at ease with it, like. And then, as we said, we've mentioned the partnership, and Gonch tells everyone that Holo's his right-hand man.
Yeah.
So Holo says, well, what does that make you? Gunch said, numero uno.
That's it. Numero uno. Gosh.
And they did become like the entrepreneurs of the year group, or even Grange Hill. Grange Hill had them in the past, people like Pogo trying to selling stuff. But to me,
Yes.
Gonch and Holo were the main ones, were the
Took it
best
to
ones.
another level.
Yeah. Because they'd sell anything. The bits where you were in that skip, like
Yes.
just going through a skip and finding anything you could, like
We found a mannequin.
Found a mannequin, but you found, what else did you find? The old folders and box files that you were trying. Why you were trying to sell them to kids, but doing it successfully as well. They tried selling music stands to the music club, which were just wire coat hangers. But I loved that year group because there was, as you said, there hadn't been any new characters really for 3 years, and then there was loads of you came in, and everyone was different, and I love that because the bit where the girls, I don't know if you remember this, the girls tried to hypnotize Gonch, because they were trying to find out if over the Walkman, because Ronnie's Walkman had gone missing.
Was that Joanne Kenny as well?
Joanne Kenny was there, yeah. And basically, Gonch just pretended that he was hypnotized and then just started laughing. The school were doing a community scheme, like helping people in the community. So Gonch and Holo went to work with Mr. Light. And Holo was really keen to do it, but Gonch, in his own words, was well dischuffed that he had to do it. And Gonch got off, couldn't be bothered, and then found out that Holo had gone back and got a lead soldier from him. Gonch decided that they should help Mr. Light in the end. He went round and decided he should help him because the front of his house was in disrepair. And he said the way they could do that was he could nick some building materials from the school because the builders were in. And they broke into the toilets where the stuff was, and they stashed a bag of plaster for Mr. Light. But then you see them wheeling this this bag of plaster there. And it was the wrong stuff in the end. Like he needed mortar or whatever or something. And Robbie, Holo, and Vince, who got the stuff there, decided to just leave it. And Gonch was like, "What am I going to do?" And they were like, "Well, you're in charge of the organization. You can sort that out." And just left them. Now they did eventually help him get it back to school, but on their way back, the builders saw what they were doing, and eventually the builders, listening to Gonch and Holo, went and helped Mr. Light. So, whilst they were doing sorts of, underhand things, it all worked out well.
Yeah, it was normally everything was kind of, there was very rarely bad intentions. It was,
Yeah. And at this time, they'd started a video club because Vince could get videos, but it wasn't great because they would only do it in lunchtime. And obviously, if you're only getting an hour and 10 minutes, you're not going to be able to watch the whole film. So Gunch decided they should use the school equipment to copy the videos and rent them out. And the thing is with that, there must have been a kid in every school who had a pirate video business, because there was lads in our year, definitely. They were there. I remember getting videos of getting Ghost and Crocodile Dundee and stuff like that from them. And like I say, when the builders decided to help out Mr. Light, that's how the lads ended up paying the builders in the pirate videos. Gunn said that, I'll get you some videos. And you mentioned the mannequin. Henry.
We dressed him up, didn't we?
Henry, they found him in the skip. They dressed him up crossing the road. When they were crossing the road, they dropped them.
Yes.
And a car ran over, and Bronson was there.
Yes.
Bronson thought it was a real person who'd nearly been run over. Because Bronson didn't know who it was, but he knew they were first years. They all got put on detention, all the first year lads. And Gonch then also got his Walkman confiscated by Mr. Smart.
We had to go to the staff room.
So, because things had been getting nicked in the school, Gonch said that when he got his Walkman back, he was going to use it to bug the staff room to see if they could find out who was stealing it. But when he went to get it back from Mr. Smart, Mr. Smart realised that it had been stolen as well. And Gonch realised then as well, while all this is going on, that Henry the dummy had his coat on with his name in it. So was thinking, oh, I need to try and get that back. So they got the dummy and tried to hide it in his locker, and they were nearly caught again by Bronson. But they told him it was just a big bag of jumble, and they were going to take it to the upper school because there was always that thing of the lower school and upper school with the merger. And they did take it, but Henry was found by Mr. Baxter and taken to the art room. So I've just mentioned 3 of the teachers there.
Yes, Bronson, Baxter, and Smart.
Yeah. What was the relationship like with the adults?
I mean, mostly we kind of. I wouldn't say we didn't do very much with them. I do remember. So Michael sheared.
Yeah.
Because he kind of obviously he was not to me particularly because I wasn't aware of the work he'd done, but there was a kind of a presence around him. Everyone sort of knew that it was kind of he'd sort of been in Star Wars, hadn't he, and things like this, Oh no, sorry, not Star Wars. Indiana Jones, or
he was in Empire Strikes Back. Yeah,
he was in Empire. Yeah. So, and I think he was always quite. He was very, professional, very, and I remember he did give me some. He tried to give me some advice, but he did, he was trying to sort of, trying to get the best out of us. It's other Michael, isn't it, Mr. Baxter? Michael Cronin.
Michael Cronin, yeah.
But I can't remember having very much to do with him at all.
Right.
While we were filming, but then we did the Grange Hill play.
Oh yeah.
In 1990, and he was back for that, and so I got to know him a bit more.
Yeah.
Then, and Mr. Smart was a bit more kind of affable, amiable, sort of. He was more, and of those. So Karen was very. And Tony Armour Trading first. Series as well. So they're kind of mixed bunch. Gwyneth was always quite friendly.
Yeah,
this is McCluskey. It was a mixed bag. Cool. But none of them unfriendly, obviously. But I think they would, I think it's a bit like, because obviously the children, we had to be there all the time.
Yeah.
So we got there at 10 o'clock in the morning and we were there till, so even though we were, we'd had tutors there, so, whereas obviously the adult actors, and it happened to us when we turned 16.
Yeah.
You just come in, do your bit and go.
Yeah.
Around. So it was, my recollection is that there wasn't a huge amount going. I remember, who was it? Mr. Stewart Organ. Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, Mr. Robson.
He was really into crosswords.
Right.
I think he got me into crosswords. It might not have been straight away, but I remember him sitting and trying to explain how these cryptic crosswords.
Yeah, brilliant.
Work.
Cool.
Yeah, so he was
brilliant.
Very friendly. He was in it for years.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so like we said, Gunch thought that they should bug the staff room, and he hired Vince's Walkman. Walkman's played a big part.
Yeah.
And so he did. They taped it to the underside of the table. The first time they got it back, they could only hear Mr. Smart asking Miss Washington out. Nothing major, so they decided to do it again. And all he found out this time was that Mr. McCartney was onto their homework racket of photocopying Matt's homework sheets with the answers on. And that sort of storyline was sort of like left alone a little bit. And like Gonch had a 50p bet with Robbie that he could get Henry the dummy into a swimming lesson without Mr. Baxter seeing him. But he didn't get away with it. And they got kicked out the pool. They got kicked out the swimming lesson. But that then led them to finding Mr. Bronson's wig.
Yes, I remember.
And obviously Gonch nicked it because that's the type of person he was. But then they found out that Gonch and Holo's clothes had been nicked. So Gonch bugged the staff room once more. But this time it was to find out if Mr. Bronson knew that it was them. that had nicked the wig. So when they went to get it back, Gonch had to sneak into the staff room because Mr. McCartney, Tony Armatrading, was asleep in there, and he managed to get it, but got caught by Mr. Smart on his way out, who took the Walkman off him and told him if anything was missing from the staff room, he'd know to blame. So Gonch had put Mr. Bronson's wig on the dummy, which was in Mr. Smart's room. But after that, more things have been going missing. So Mr. Smart went and got Gonch. And that's when Gonch had to tell the staff why he'd been in the staff room. And there's a bit where they're talking about on the tape, you can hear the staff talking about Bronson's hair. And Gonch looks at the dummy because the wig is still on there when they're talking about it. But then they heard who the real thieves were. Can you remember who it was?
Oh,
Like a proper Grange Hill legendary character.
Gripper?
Gripper, yeah.
Yeah.
It was Gripper, Denny, and Gripper's sister, Emma, because Emma was in like a few episodes around that time, but then wasn't she after that. Like, so yeah, that's who it was. And Gonch also ended up telling Mr. Smart about the wig as well. And Smart gave the wig back to Bronson.
Oh, yeah.
Without telling him who'd done it, but did tell Gonch's mum and dad. And again with the Walkman, I don't know what it was, but Vince had made a revision tape for the exams, and Gonch asked if he could borrow. Why they were this bothered in first year exams, yeah. I do not know. But Gonch had it in. Gonch wouldn't give Vince the tape back, so they had a bit of a scuffle over it. And while the scuffle was going on, Ronnie swapped the tapes over and gave him a tape of the Meteors. It was. She said Gonch went in with the Walkman on, but with a scarf around him, saying he had earache. And then the exam started, and Gonch realised that he'd been duped, shall we say. And in the meantime, Mr. Baxter had told Bronson that it was Gonch and Holo had taken the wig when they thought he'd got away with it. Mr. Smart was having a meeting with Gonch's dad, and Mr. Bronson said he'd go along as well. Now, at the end of that series, there was the school musical, Brighton Rock, the Mods and Rockers.
Oh, yeah.
But Gonch wasn't involved in that, really. Would you like to have been?
No.
Right, okay.
They come on to just say no. We finished. I'm guessing. So what would be what series was Just Say No series 10?
I think it was series 9, 86 it was. Yeah, series 9, the next series.
Series 9. So at the end of our first series, they were talking about the... No, it was. So they'd done all of... Oh, I'm trying to remember the time. But they said, do you want to be involved in this song? And I said, no, because I can't sing.
Yeah.
So my only involvement was that they were filming a disco and we were just dancing in the thing. Yeah. So everyone was sort of, I guess, at some point. But I definitely didn't sing, and I wasn't involved in all of the trips to the States and what have you. The only thing then was that when the song came out and there were some we did a few sort of charity.
Yeah.
And I went along, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I wasn't. No, if there was anything sort of kind of voluntary about, could you want to sing or dance? Okay. No, I say no.
So then we move on to the 85 Christmas special, only the second Christmas special Grange Hill did. And that's when we were introduced to Harriet for the first time. Although we didn't see Harriet again for another year, this is when Harriet the donkey first came in, and it started with Gonch and Holo messing about with sponges and water, and it was also the first time we saw Imelda, and Imelda and Gonch straight away were fighting, arguing, throwing water on each other and all sorts. And on the day of the Christmas fair, Gonch and Holo were told to go and get a table out of one of the sheds, but the donkey was in there. The donkey ran out, and then your involvement in that episode then was chasing the donkey round the school. And then when the donkey ran into the hall where everyone was, can you remember what Gonch did to Imelda? Bear in mind, we've been talking about the sponges and water. those sponges in that water needed to be kept somewhere.
No, I don't know.
So there was a bath full of water, and
And I pushed her into the
Gonch
bath.
pushed Imelda into the bath.
Yes.
I'm assuming that would have been one take. He wouldn't have asked.
I
He wouldn't
don't
have
think
asked
we,
her to go
I
over
don't
and
think,
over.
yeah, no, I don't think we did it again. You're right. I think it was just she just got wet once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant. Okay, and then that ended with Gunch chasing the donkey, tripping up the stairs and landing in the crib with the donkey, and then it ended with a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that. And then we move on to Series 9, your second year.
Yeah.
And there's a PE lesson with Mr. Baxter having a go at the lads for the state of their PE kits. And then press ganged Gonch into joining the swimming team. But this is the year Ziggy had joined.
Yes.
And Ziggy had told Mr. Baxter that he would be the best swimmer. And the lads weren't happy with him because he did come in sort of quite brash and cocky and really loudmouth. And the lads were all making fun of his accents. I can't understand why you would have been doing that, to be honest. And Ziggy's tie then got nicked and was asking where it was. So Gonch said to him, have you looked in the showers? And it was tied up in the showers. And when he went in to get it, Gonch turned the showers on.
I like getting people wet. Huh?
And Ziggy got soaked. Now, Gonch and Holo bought a load of sandwiches from a sandwich shop to sell at lunchtime.
Yes.
But Holo wasn't sure that he could do it. And Gonch told him not to worry because it was Gonch that had bought them and he would get them sold. But Holo pointed out that he'd lent the money to Gonch to buy them. He did manage to sell them on 40p each, a 5p profit on each sandwich. But then they realised it'd be cheaper, it'd be better for them if they started making sandwiches at home. But then Gonch's mum turned up and said they couldn't use the kitchen anymore. This then led to a conversation between Gonch and Kevin Balon about whether they'd have sandwiches the next day. Gonch wasn't sure, but Kevin gave him the money anyway. And the only reason I'm mentioning this conversation is because while that conversation's going on, there's a kid shouting, got any egg? Got any egg? And he gets louder and angrier every single, but it's brilliant. I think it's probably his only line in the whole at the time he's in Grange Hill. Got any egg? Got any egg? he's probably Grange Hill's most memorable supporting artist, if I'm honest, because it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then this then led to arguably the most famous of Gonch's money-making schemes, Gonch's Toast Bar.
Yeah.
Gonch and Holo went looking for a toaster in the skip, but they didn't find one, but they found some scrap metal, which they then sold. And they got 15 quid for, so they were able to buy their own toaster, and they started selling toast at 10p a slice. And there's a scene where Jane Bishop got a slice of toast buttered with an earwig in it. And to make things better for her, Gonch takes the earwig out and covers it in jam. Instead of giving her a new one, there's no way he was wasting money. He wasn't losing money on that. Because she then rubs the toast in on Holo. And Gonch tells him he needs to deal more firmly with the customer complaints. Now, Trevor and Vince tried to muscle in.
Yes.
Asking for free toast every day. Gonch told them they weren't getting any. And they couldn't tell on them because they'd have all the customers to deal with. And then Imelda was another one, tried to muscle in on the money. And again, he said the same thing to her. But this was Imelda. And she wasn't going to let him get away with it. And Imelda and the Terrorhawks followed Gonch. And I mugged him, basically. When they pushed him over, he banged his head on the floor. And they took him into a cupboard and they realised all the money was just in his pockets. So rather than take the money, they took his trousers from him. And they also took his glasses off. Now, I'm mentioning your glasses because your glasses seem to have their own storyline as well for a bit.
Yeah.
And I think you probably only wore them for about 7 or 8 episodes, but because they were mentioned that much, it's like you always wore them.
No, I didn't, because I needed glasses.
Right.
And because they had a slight tint as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I think I just, it wasn't anything to do with the the writers or anything else. I just had these glasses. I said, I've got to wear these glasses. And then I just stopped wearing them.
Yeah.
So I wore them, and then it's like
Obviously, when Gunch got mugged, Holo was like, "We need to stop now," and Gunch was like, "No chance, we're making too much money." But in the meantime, Mr. Griffiths, another legend, George Cooper,
yes,
found the toaster, and they had to temporarily suspend it. But I think they completely suspended it then because I don't think it was mentioned. But were you aware, or are you aware of how well known that storyline is?
Yeah, I would say if you were just if you said to people, name 5 things that Gonch did to make money, I would say that probably toast would be number one.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Lucas once tweeted about it.
Did he?
He just tweeted one day, if you're feeling peckish at lunchtime today, go down to Gonch's Toast Bar. Just completely random, like when he's done it. Go down to Gonch's Toast Bar, 10p a slice. And that was it. And then, Gonch forever on the wind up with Ziggy, even though Ziggy was sort of integrating himself a bit more. They had a letter writing scheme, and you had to write to someone famous. Ziggy wrote to Buckingham Palace, wrote to the Duke of Edinburgh. And when he got a letter back, but Gonch got hold of it before him and told him, like, they came up with a letter on a typewriter. You see Gonch and Holo trying to use this typewriter, saying he was going to visit the school, and he was after a collection of chalk, which the proceeds of which would go to his wildlife fund. And you see then Ziggy and Robbie trying to get all this chalk, and then Mr. Bronson, like, and Baxter caught them and were asking them what they were doing, and they showed them the letter that he'd had back from the Duke of Edinburgh. But Mr. Bronson pointed out that the Duke of Edinburgh probably would have spelled Edinburgh correctly. And as we've mentioned earlier, this was the year of Just Say No. And there was obviously Zamo's heroin addiction was going on, but there was also anti-smoking was a storyline as well. And they were trying to get people to stop smoking. And Gonch and Holo became the self-appointed smoking patrol, complete with like patches on the sleeves. And they caught Mr. Griffith smoking his pipe in his office, and it was Gonch threw his pipe in the bin.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a bit where there was the fun run towards the end of that episode, and it was in fancy dress.
Yes.
Can you remember what Gonch and Holo dressed up as?
Was it Laurel and Hardy?
It was Laurel and Hardy, yeah. Yeah, and again, always the opportunity to make money. They were running a book on not who would win, but who would finish last.
Yes.
And they made Danny Kendall a favourite. But Ronnie actually bet that Gonch would be the last to finish. Because there was that thing there throughout that year. There was always the Ronnie and Gonch sort of like there was always that. And Banksy and Kennedy were racing, and there was a bit where Gonch got in the way, often when they were on their bikes, and caused Banksy to crash. At that time, it focuses on Banksy and cutting his leg, and you don't need to do this, Stephen. You don't have to. But obviously, he wants to win. But also, Gonch did his ankle at the same time, and he was panicking then that he was going to be last to finish because they worked out that Ronnie stood to win £100. So they had to make sure that he wasn't last to finish. But the last we saw of Gonch in that episode,
was I in a wheelchair? In a wheelbarrow?
You were in I think it was a bath on wheels, like last of the summer wine.
Yeah.
Now you've mentioned Just Say No and not singing on it. However, there was a follow-up single, Just Say No, called "You Know the Teacher."
Bracket smash head.
Bracket smash head, close brackets. So
Phil Redmond upset a lot of people.
Did he?
Because they had him and Steve. He wrote the music for Brookside.
Oh yeah. No, I can't think of his name. Yeah.
Is he called Steve Wright? I can't remember. They had the idea that they should make an album. Obviously, in those days, albums had 2 sides. This is not CDs. Side A would be songs penned by Phil and Steve. I'm going to say Steve Wright. Oh, I should remember. But anyway, uh, original songs
Yeah.
based around school and whatever. And the B side would be cover versions. So, as with Just Say No, they said to me, "Do you want to be involved in any of these songs?" I said, "No, I don't." Uh, and then Phil or someone on his behalf said, "Listen, Phil's written a song, and he really it's written for you and Ziggy.
Right.
It's this is how it's imagined, yeah, with a bit of backing and whatever. But it's meant to be Gonch and Ziggy singing, the teacher about, let's say, Bronson or a teacher who's annoying or what have you." And so I recall that I've said, "Well, all right then, we'll do it." And I remember we went to this studio in Maida Vale, very nice, and they'd been what do you do? Lay down tracks. There'd been other people there,
Right.
doing
Yeah.
stuff, and there'd been. So you're talking about 8 original songs, and you've got all of the, Alison, Lisa, Ruth, Fleur, uh, some of the Ricky, I'm guessing,
Ricky,
some of
yeah,
the guys.
yeah.
So you're talking about some people who'd had been to stage school, had voice lessons, like the idea of making a song,
Yeah.
etc., etc. So we'd all. So I went to the studio, and obviously me and George did this song, and there was, I think, John and maybe John Alford as well. I'm not sure, but there was like a few people backing little bits on the
Yeah.
song, and then we did. I remember doing a little bit of backing for the Fleur and Ruth and Sam did a Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and we did a little bit of backing on that.
Yeah.
But I suppose you would, if you listened carefully, you'd probably be able to pick our voices out. So me and John Drummond and whatever. Anyway, we've made 16 songs, let's say.
Yeah.
And that I guess we thought they're going to use one of the original ones because it's like, just bringing out a cover version as a single. But no, they decided they wanted to, promote this album with, the teacher brackets, close brackets. So we went up to Liverpool. We had a great weekend.
Yeah. At the Holt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went and we saw the Brookside set. We did it wasn't high budget, be fair to say. It was just, we went to a school and filmed some like classroom scenes, and
Yeah.
actually Fleur and Ruth and Sam came up because they were involved in the video as well.
Yeah.
So we filmed it over a couple of days. We had a great weekend in Liverpool.
Yeah.
But it was, and then we did we went on BBC Breakfast.
Right.
We went on something with one of the other satellite channels then. There weren't many then.
I think I've seen that one.
I'm trying to remember her name. It was a female. She's obviously well known in her own right, but she's the daughter of someone famous.
But was it you? No, I've seen one where it was you. I think it was you and Tina,
right?
Possibly gone. I think that's what it is. And they show a little snippet of the video,
right?
And it's the only snippet of the video in existence. Like, it can't find it.
Really?
Anywhere. Like, someone on one of the Grange Hill groups, John Lamacraft, he made a version of the video because the songs, you can get hold of the song. Like, he made a version of the video just featuring clips of Gunch and Ziggy.
Yeah.
But the actual video, there's a bit of you and George outside the school, kicking a ball around, and then walking down the corridor, and Drummond appears as well. But that is literally the only clip of the video in existence. I'll have to try and find it for you.
Because obviously Michael Scher didn't agree to do the video. So
it was someone else.
Another actor to play the teacher. Yeah. Emma Freud.
Right. Yeah.
We did a thing with Emma Freud on a. We're talking. This is what? So 1986. Yeah. Right. So there weren't many channels out then, but we did And I think I even did it with me, George, and Phil. And I remember actually we were doing it, and George just walked off midway through the interview because he did have somewhere to go, but instead, like he just sort of did it live. He didn't sort of wait for it. He just said, "Right, I got to go," and then
Brilliant.
Phil carried on talking.
Probably,
So
probably,
it was,
probably going to watch Liverpool, was he? Because
yeah,
I know that's why he never went the initial recording of Just Say No. He said he
yeah.
wasn't well, but he was watching.
Was watching.
It was the derby. It was Liverpool
All right,
Everton. Yeah,
right.
he'd gone.
Got his priorities right.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so there were some, I think, some slightly disgruntled cast members who thought they really
Like,
deserved
do you
the
think though? Do you think they went with your song because of the popularity of Gonch and
I
Ziggy?
think it was. I mean, obviously, it was Phil's decision. I think maybe he just felt it was more of a, because they like. I remember because I thought because Alison's got a very good
Mm-hmm.
voice, and she did a song called "School Love."
Yeah,
And it's like nice, I'm sure it would have been more successful, to be honest, than when
yeah,
ours wasn't. But I guess maybe they thought it was, maybe the popularity of the those two characters at that particular time, and just the fact it was tied in with the
yeah,
series, so specifically a teacher that you
yeah,
want to, does your
yeah.
head. But it was a bit of fun, but honestly, it was 45 minutes in the studio, a weekend in Liverpool,
And
filming a fairly
and to be
low
fair,
budget video.
you're not really singing on it.
No,
It's more talking than
yeah,
singing. It's
and that
like,
happened when we did the musical in
yeah,
1990. It was a similar conversation. In fact, they didn't really believe me, and then I remember when we were doing the rehearsals, and they said, "Yeah, maybe it's better just talk it like Rex." Whatever is Rex Harrison
yeah.
in my just yeah, it's
What
okay.
what I will say about your song is it's probably one of the most 80s songs you can
Yeah,
hear. Like the music, the synthesis, everything about
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
screams
yeah,
80s. Like, so
yeah.
if anyone listening, if you've never heard, you must have heard, the teacher by now. But if you haven't, you need to find it. YouTube. It's definitely on there. It's definitely on there. Okay. So we'll move on then to series 10, which was your third year on the program. As you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, you were missing for the first 9 episodes.
Me and Fiona.
Yeah. Now, the storyline for you was that Gunch was in Saudi Arabia,
Yeah,
Bahrain, Riyadh, all these different places were
yeah,
mentioned. And I think it's probably obvious why you weren't there. But what was your reason for not being on the
yeah. I was doing
program?
my O levels.
Right.
Me and Fiona
Uh-huh.
Mogridge, Lee Fraser,
Yeah.
were both absent for the first 8 episodes.
Right.
Both for doing not GCSEs,
O levels.
O levels. Yeah, so that was the reason. So they gave us exemption, and then we turned up, I think, for the Canal trip.
Yeah. So just before the
It
canal
was
trip,
fantastic.
when Gunch he turns up at Ronnie's with flowers
Yes.
and a tan.
Yeah,
I'm assuming it was fake tan.
it was a fake tan. It really was. Yeah, yeah,
You are quite orange. Like
yeah,
it has to be said. Like,
yeah. And for someone with my colouring, not really.
yeah.
If I'd just been red, it would have been fine. Yeah,
So, like I say, he turned up with these presents and all that, and everyone's made up to see him except for Vince because obviously Vince and Holo had formed like quite a close friendship in that
yeah,
time. Um, and Vince was obviously like getting a little bit jealous that Gonch was back. He was going to lose his mate there, and you know Vince and Holo had set up this den under the school. They'd found the secret room
yes,
under the school, and Holo showed Gonch where it was, but Vince wasn't happy
yeah.
because like I say, he thought he was going to lose his mate. But Gonch was actually spending more time with Ronnie because they were an item at this point. Was that a surprise though when they said to you, "We're going to pair you off with Tina"? Like, did that come as a bit of a surprise? Like,
Um, Probably it did because I don't think it was never. I mean, I remember in the Christmas special, I was making the point that Gonch wasn't a lady's
Yeah.
character, like so. John, Ricky, Simon,
Yeah.
lots and lots of fan mail, lots of whatever, and Gonch was more of a lad's
Yeah.
character. It was so I don't. I think having a romantic storyline probably was a bit of a shock. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All I mean, like I say, really that group for me, John, Steve, Tina. We'd all. I
Yeah.
was a bit older than them, but all from Anna Scher's.
I suppose that the easy thing with it was there's never really any like romantic scenes between the two of you, like that, like there was with other like Stu
Yeah,
Potts and
yeah,
Claire and
yeah,
Zamo
yeah.
and Jackie. There wasn't really anything
No.
like that with Gunch. Okay, and Gunch did get a place on the Canal trip because Jackie pulled out because she was going to a Narcotics Anonymous thing with Zamo. But you must have had a ball
No,
on
honestly,
filming the Canal trip.
and also it was. I don't suppose it for that it didn't make a big difference. But obviously, I turned 16,
Right.
so I was getting more money. I was getting more freedom. So we didn't have chaperones
Yeah.
anymore. I mean, obviously, chaperones were there because of the ones who required them. But
Yeah.
I think it was just a fantastic week. I'm guessing it was only a week away.
Yeah.
It was
Coventry, was it?
Coventry, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're doing it on the canal. Um, I remember we went to a nightclub, and.
So were you there when Tim Polly tried to climb the outside of the building?
Yeah,
You're looking at me now thinking, how does he know? Tim told me that.
yeah, yeah. No, it was that both of the trips, that and Isle of Wight were
Yeah.
Isle of Wight probably even more because we were 18.
18, yeah. Yeah.
And
Brilliant. Brilliant. I mean, the thing about the Canal trip is a massive favourite with Grange Hill fans.
yeah,
The first interview I did was with Ricky, and Ricky said he could never understand why. And I said, I think it's because you see in the characters completely different scenario. They're not
yeah,
in the school. They're not confined to
not uniform.
classrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not uniform. So
yeah,
it's so different, and so much happens.
yeah,
And it's all the main cast as
yeah,
well, bar one or two exceptions.
yeah,
But there's so much going on. Like
yeah.
the fact that the four lads were sent off camping to go and find it,
Yes.
sent into the woods to go and find the tent that Mr. Scott had pinched. And so you see them all like, and it's getting dark as well.
Yeah,
But then John Drummond told me that, you film all the exterior scenes, but the bit in the tent was filmed in a studio.
yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, that's already the. Yeah, everything interior was done in a studio. So it was just we got a week. I mean, it was the same camera people, but just and the same cameras, but just inside, not out. Yeah,
Yeah, and then there was always that thing on that trip with the local lads
yeah,
as well. The Grange Hill lads obviously weren't happy that the girls were off talking to these lads, and
yeah.
the boat got untied in the night and drifted into the middle of the canal, and then Gonch and Trevor grabbed hold of a couple of lads. I think this is the first time I saw or notice a change in Gonch's character, because Gonch comes over as being quite hard, quite handy, where he never had done before. That he'd stand up to Trevor, but there was a thing when Gonch wasn't there for those first few episodes. Trevor and Imelda were fighting to be top dog because Gonch wasn't there, and I'd never considered Gonch to be cock of the year at all.
Yeah.
Even though they did. That was the other thing as well. Gonch's first day back was Imelda's last day as well. That was the day
where she got taken out of the class.
She got expelled, yeah. Because then the Canal trip was straight away after that. But yeah, Gonch grabs hold of these lads, and they're going to throw them in the canal until Ziggy came and got them, because he needed to see Freddie, because Freddie had fell into mud puddle or in the canal or something, and he'd wrecked all his clothes. And then there was another scene where those local lads again, the lads, Ziggy had gone bird nesting and had managed to drag the others along with him, even though they weren't that interested.
Yeah.
And they got off when they seen the other lads. The locals turned up. They ran off and left Ziggy in the tree. Then they realised that they'd left him in the tree, so they ran back, and there was then, scuffles all over the place.
Yeah.
And was there much
Yeah.
choreography for that?
I don't think so. No, I don't. No, I never. I don't think we ever had a.
What I did notice you doing that was one of the lads goes to run off, and you sort of try and kick him as he's running away. But you nearly fell over yourself as you tried to kick him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fighter, Neil. I'm not a fighter. If someone told me to try and look like I was, but yeah, I'd probably trip myself up before.
Yeah. And then there was like that obviously ended with them going to the disco and all the local lads being there, and Grange Hill lads didn't stand a chance in that because there was too many people around for them to do anything about it. So then, back at the school, Gonch and Holo took Harriet the donkey out for rides in the park. Again, make money anywhere, and they got a couple of customers, but then the park keeper arrived. Remember park keepers? The park keeper arrived and they had to run off with the donkey. What was it like having to work with the donkey?
I don't think it was too bad. I don't think there were too many issues. I think she sort of pretty much did what she was meant to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any sort of recollection of it being like a nightmare. Yeah, no, I think it was. I think she was good.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, again, we are back at the school, and Trevor was trying to find out where the den was, trying to find out where the secret den under the school was, and he eventually found it and wrecked it. Went in, smashed it up. Obviously, Vince was really upset, and Gunch said they'd get it back to normal, they'd get it even better, and they'd also get Trevor back. And what was the idea to get Trevor back?
It must be a ghost.
The ghost. Yeah. The Grange Hill ghost.
Yeah.
So Gunch was talking to Trevor and told him, he went in, bit of subterfuge. We need to take that den over, me and you, Trevor. Kick Vince and Holo out. We'll do that. So that's what they did. The first time they went down, kicked them out. And then Gunch started talking about the stupidness, the immaturity of the other two, saying they'd seen a ghost and all that. But that obviously got Trevor scared and he ran out. It was the ghost of an ex-teacher, is what he said. And later on, Gonch said that they should try and, he said to Trevor, we need to investigate it properly because they wouldn't be scared, unlike the others. And then we see like a little montage then of Gonch, Holo and Vince getting things from around the school and basically building a ghost. But there's a bit where Gonch is up a ladder or a chair, pulling a curtain down and falls off. I don't know if you were supposed to fall off or what.
Yeah, I think I was. I think I follow instructions. I don't think it was. I don't think it was a
blooper. No,
unintended. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
And Trevor then took Ziggy to the den, not knowing that Ziggy was in on the ghost story. And when he went in there, like I said, he'd made this ghost and it looks ridiculous. Like it really looks ridiculous. But when, obviously, because Trevor was that scared, he ran out. But the lads kept winding him up. And it comes with one of the best payoffs ever, where they bricked Holo in behind the wall. And Ziggy and Gonch went down with Trevor. They had sunglasses on. They had hoovers. They had headphones on. And they convinced them to go back in the den because they were going to get rid of it. And they were down there. And that's when they get all the screams and everything. And the bricks start moving and Ziggy gets grabbed by the ghost and several. Now, it's a brilliant. I haven't done it any justice with the way I've described it there, but it is an absolute classic Grange Hill scene. It really, really, really is. It's brilliant. And like I say, you must have had, like, when it was those 5 or 6 of you just working together, they're like, John and Bradley and Steve and John and George, you must have had a ball. Because John Drummond said every day. He just said every day was a laugh.
Yeah, but well, both Johns and George.
Yeah,
but George particularly is not. I'm not doing him a disservice at all. But he you never quite knew what it was going to come out of his mouth
Yeah,
or what he was going to do.
that that is
Honestly,
that's a
it was,
common thing people tell me.
yeah, I don't really, I think that, for him, the script was a kind of a guide, you know, not to be relied upon, if you like, taking a cue.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, so it was, I'm sure for the directors and the floor managers, whatever, it could be a bit frustrating if they were like, marks weren't being hit and lines weren't coming out quite like they were meant to, and laughing and not, but it definitely, I think, it made it seem more fresh
yeah,
and realistic, really,
yeah,
because it was but yeah, George ad-libbed a
yeah,
lot,
yeah. That's
and I think
he told me that, and a lot of other people have told me
yeah,
that.
yeah, it's I mean it's yeah. Uh,
Brilliant.
And, not, as I said, to varying degrees. Other people would either forget lines or change them a little bit. We all changed our lines a little bit
Yeah,
because sometimes we'd kind of think that's just, not really
yeah,
what we'd
yeah.
say.
Brilliant.
Uh, but yeah, no, no, it was really
Yeah,
good. Yeah, really
brilliant,
fun.
brilliant. Now
Yeah.
there's a bit. This is when Danny Kendall was first ill, and so Roland was doing a sponsored diet, and
Yes.
Gunch and Holo were running a book on how much weight he was going to lose, and he
Yeah.
was doing really well, which panicked him because they stood to lose a load of money. So they started putting chocolate bars in his back.
Yeah.
But then the girls realised what was going on, and told them to stop, or they'd tell Miss McCluskey what they'd been doing. And the series ended with a with a staff versus pupil cricket match, and
Yeah.
Gonch and Holo again running a book,
Yeah.
and the game ended in a draw.
Yeah.
And everyone claimed their winnings because nobody had lost. And there was also the results of the weight loss. And Gonch
Yes.
realized that a lot of people had guessed his weight loss correctly, and they had to pay them out as well.
It was an expensive day.
Yeah. Now, that was also the year, 1987,
Yes.
was also the year of the Grange Hill computer game. I don't know if you've got any knowledge of the Grange Hill computer game.
No.
So, the Grange Hill computer game is one of the bleakest computer games in the history of computer games. It is unbelievable, but it follows the story of Gonch and Holo.
Does it?
It does. I'll send you a link to a walkthrough on it. I'll send you a link to a walkthrough after this.
Go on, yeah.
So basically, Gonch has had his Walkman confiscated.
Right.
Right. And it's been left at school. And he thinks, I've got to go and get it back, or my mum is going to kill me. That's basically the whole premise
Right.
of the computer game. And as I say, it's one of the bleakest games.
What platform is it on? What like is it?
It was the Commodore, the Amstrad, and the Speccy. It was on.
Yeah.
It was on them. Yeah. So it's oh my god, honest to God, it's not just game over. It's you're dead. Game over. Like you can be killed in so many. Oh, it's unbelievable. Like there's just so your game can be ended by you tripping over a paving stone. Game over. Dead. Game over. There's one where it's weird because you control Gonch and Holo, a bit like Sonic and Tails. You control Gonch and Holo follows, but a lot of it is it's like text adventure as well. So if you meet someone, you ask them a question or whatever, and you meet this bloke and you ask him, he's got something to give you. Will you take it from him? Yes. Well, you shouldn't have done. He's a drug pusher. He's going to be dead soon. Now you are too. Game over. Honest to God, I'll have to send you the walkthrough.
Yeah.
It's the only connection with the Grange Hill is the fact that it's Gonch and Holo. Mr. Griffiths is in it. And you see a school called Grange Hill at the beginning. And that's it. That is it. It's unreal when you play it. But Bradley had no concept. He had no knowledge of the game.
And that was like on sale in the shops. People
yeah.
buy this.
Yeah, you could buy this computer
in
game.
Woolworths back
But
in 1987.
yeah, but there is a walkthrough of it on YouTube.
All right.
So yeah, I'll send you the link to that.
Please, yeah.
And then
All right.
that moves us on series 11, 88. It's the fourth year. Holo had left, but was never mentioned. Not mentioned at all. And Gonch had a briefcase at this point.
Yes.
He was up to his usual tricks. You
I
know,
brought a chain from outside the house.
Got the chain from outside the house. Told us
What, to tie the bicycles together or something?
Told his neighbour it was for the school project, but really it was to tie the bikes.
Yes.
And he walked into his class announcing that the great Gunch was there.
Yeah.
To which Jane Bishop, Joanne Kenny said, more like the great Gonzo. It was a retort to you there. And we've mentioned that the bike chain there. And at the end of the day, Robbie asked him how much he'd made. And he said, put it this way, I'm not going to be doing it tomorrow. But then he started giving tours of the school to the first years.
Yeah, with my umbrella.
With the umbrella, yeah. But he hardly got anything. Got about 10p and a bubble gum is what he got.
I remember doing that. I remember doing that in the with Darren Cudjoe.
Yeah, Darren Cudjoe was there and Sonia Cairns. Yeah.
Was that their first year?
That was their first year, yeah. Sean Maguire had started.
Again, it was a 3 year. Oh, but you had Freddie and Julia and Laura
come in,
didn't you? But yeah, so it was
So this is where Gonch, Ziggy and Robbie decided to work together to make money. And they were sitting in the gym talking about their ideas. And they had the female teachers coming in to do keep fit classes. So they decided
to hide under the
horse, the vault, They did get out because they got locked in the gym. So they did get out. I'm not sure how, but there was a rope ladder involved. I think in that gym, there was like a balcony around it. So you could climb up and get over it that way. I think that was how they got out.
Yeah. We did it, yeah. That's true.
And Gonch forgot his PE kit and came up with the idea for his first for a PE reminder service.
Yes.
And then a PE kit hire service. And we see them then in their computer lessons printing out all these PE reminder slips.
Yeah.
And Ziggy pointed out they weren't actually going to get any work done in that lesson because they were just printing them off. And they started getting kits from other kids under the pretense that they would be minding it for them when really they were hiring it out to other kids. And the PE reminder service fell down when a parent phoned the school asking why one of their kids had been reminded, but the other one hadn't. The PE kit business started off well, but they started running out of kit. And the 50ers started taking the money back from them. And they needed more kits. And Ronnie and Callie asked if they had any spare kit for girls, and they said, well, they didn't do girls' kits. But Callie told them they were losing out on their potential, 50% of the market, basically. Yeah. So they let them in. They let them in on the business, but only if they agreed to do the washing. Now, at that time, there was a cross-country lesson, and we see Gunch sprinting round to get back to Mr. Robson's office before he gets back so he can nick some of the kit. But you look really battered at the end of it. So was the running easy? I know for a fact, and you probably wonder how I know this, but I know running wouldn't be an issue for you now because I know you like your running quite a bit.
Running. I like running.
But did you like it when you had to do it then?
I think it would have.
It's just a cross country run, but you are sprinting your way through that field.
No, I would have been all right. I was probably just knackered. I was always. I like my football and my
cool
running.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so like I say, he gets back. He gets these shirts. He gives them to the 50ers, but one of the shirts was actually Mr. Robson's own. Yeah. So those lads started chasing them, and Gonch did get away from them, but ran into Morley and his Gridiron Gang. And at the end of the episode, we see Gonch being carried off by them. And the next episode starts with Gonch wearing the neck brace.
Yes.
Because he found out he'd been tied up in Harriet's shed and he'd been rescued by Ronnie. And then the PE service starts getting out of hand because they had too many customers. And the lad who he gave Mr. Robson's shirt to, Big Tell,
Big Tell,
Big
yeah.
Tell, he turned up to see Gunch and headbutted him.
Yeah, I got a bloody nose, didn't
Yeah,
I?
that's it. The next scene.
Yeah.
I think her character name was Karen. I think she's there, and we see Gonch on the floor. His nose is wrecked. He's covered in
Yeah.
blood. And the lads then go to the laundrette to wash the kit and Gonch's shirt. And Gonch is sat there with his blazer and his tie on.
God.
So the lads decide they're going to have to get Mauler back, and they chase him. They start chasing him around the school because he's on his own. But can you remember what happened at the end of the chase? They bump into someone.
Big Tell?
No.
No.
Worse. They bumped into Mr. Bronson and knocked his wig off.
Yes.
And this was also the year that Ronnie and Fiona had started the hip hop.
Flesh and Fly.
Ronnie gave Gonch some money in exchange for Gonch's dad taking all their equipment to the hip hop competition in his car or his van.
Yeah.
But Gonch's dad couldn't take it because he was going out. So can you remember what transport Gonch sorted out to get it there? It's not what you'd expect.
No, I can't remember.
A rag and bone man's horse and cart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
it's just dead funny with them turning up with the rag and bone man.
Just whatever you can find.
Yeah. And then the lads eventually realised the strip hire was just too much work and they shut it down and went into a bike security business instead. But Mauler and his mates turned up, making them run away, and they decided that they were going to get Mauler once and for all. So they got a big group of lads together, even though Gonch didn't want to go because he was meant to be meeting Fiona.
Yeah.
But there was a thing with like Gonch and Fiona for a while.
Yeah. A couple of episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. And he had to be dragged there by the lads. And then there's a cracking scene at the bike sheds, and it's filmed like a Western. Like they had like incidental music over it and everything.
Yeah.
Because you had Gonch and Ziggy and their crew, you had Mauler and his crew, but you also had Mr. Griffiths, Mr. Bronson, and some of the staff.
Yes.
And basically, Griffiths thought that Gonch, Ziggy, and Robbie were extorting money from people when really it was the bike security business. And it all comes to a head because Vince throws a water balloon at Mauler, and it all kicks off.
Yeah.
Everyone running and getting into scuffles. But when I watch this scene, I noticed that you and John Drummond are on the edge, on the outskirts, just pointing at people, not really getting involved.
No. I told him we're not
just shouting and pointing.
Yeah, not big fighters.
And the next, I was saying, like, Gunch didn't want to go there because he was meant to be meeting Fiona. And she found out why he hadn't turned up. But he said he'd meet her that night, and she told him not to bother. Now, obviously, Fiona, played by Michelle Gale.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea then, like, what she would go on to? Could you tell that she was going to go on to bigger things? Like,
no,
because
not that you'd say she wouldn't or couldn't, but because I think about to be honest with you, as probably as many of the people who were extras. I was thinking about that the other day. So Patsy Palmer, Danny Bear, who else was
Sophie Lawrence?
Sophie Lawrence, all non-speaking parts really. Who then did it, and so some people have gone on and people main characters who've gone on and sort of made a career out of it. But it's obviously Sean, McGuire. But no, you don't know.
No. Okay.
There's so much. I was thinking, Lindy Layton.
Yeah. Would be good to me.
So she was. She'd been. I think she was from Barbara Speaks.
Right.
She's friends. She'll have known like Ian Congdon Lee. He was Barbara Speaks.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah.
Brothers.
Okay. Gunch came up with a new business venture.
Babysitting.
Babysitting.
Yes.
he put adverts in shops around the area, and they got quite a few customers. And
Yeah.
Ziggy went babysitting with Karen,
Yeah.
which is another story in itself. But Gunch turned up to help him and got the kids to sleep by telling them a ghost story. They recruited Helen and Georgina,
Yeah.
and then he had the idea of setting up a creche.
No.
Yeah, but that fell flat on its face as well, because he saw that there was just kids running it rather than no qualified childminders
Yeah,
and all that. And in the meantime, Ronnie had been done for shoplifting. And there's a scene where Gonch phones her to find out if she's okay. And I'm only mentioning it because it's done like a split screen, like a special effect, which was a bit out of character for Grange Hill, to be honest, like to show that. But you know, when you're filming that, can you remember how close like were you to each other, or was it filmed separately? Because it does seem to flow like.
No, I think we did it at the same time, next to each other.
Yeah.
I did that would just be down. That's definitely just you have to go and see who directed it, because there are certain directors who wanted to try and do
different
things a little bit differently.
Cool. Cool. Gunch then took Ronnie to school because he said, he was going to look after it, because he knew that there'd be loads of people asking questions, and it had been off and on between them, as we've said, but it seemed on at this point. And he asked Ronnie to go to the pictures, and she said she would, but later on, he told her that he had no money to take her. And the last day of term, Ziggy was supposed to be moving back to Liverpool. So Mauler and his mates were trying to get Ziggy. And Ziggy, Gonch, and Robbie all painted the faces the same. And it was a weird reason, so that Mauler wouldn't be able to tell them apart. Like, Gonch is massive, Robbie's tiny, like, they're not going to tell them apart. But in the end, Ziggy painted his face the same as Mauler's crew, because they all had, like, the bottom part of an American football helmet painted on their face. So Ziggy did that, and he was able to get away in the end. And this moves us on to series 12.
Go on.
Which went on air in 89, and you were in every single episode of this series. Every single episode. So when I'm researching Gonch's story, that's an absolute ball ache for me when someone's in every episode. So your third year was great because you were only in 11. Like, you missed it.
Yeah.
But when you're in every episode, it's a ball ache.
Was it 20 then? Because they did
one that was 24. They did
24, didn't they?
Yeah.
They went from 18
to 24
18 in series 8, then 20. 24, 2020?
Yeah. They did that. It starts with Gonch planning his next venture on his computer, Gonch's homework service.
Yes.
It's just so it has the same initials as Grange Hill School, GHS.
Yeah.
And there's that scene where he's at his computer and then he sees the time.
And the orange juice.
Tips the orange juice on him. Brilliant. And he ends up being late for school and tells Trevor it's because of his computer. It was because of his computer. And Trevor asks him, what kind of computer have you got? And he says, the kind that's going to make me very rich. So Gonch then explains the homework service to Ziggy and Robbie in his house. He's on his computer showing him it. Ziggy presses a key and wipes the whole thing off. So Gonch has to start again. But the lads were like, it's a bad idea. Ziggy and Robbie just didn't agree. And Gonch was like, no, it's going to be fine. It's going to work. And thought that Mandy Fremont could help them out. Now, this was probably the most romantic we saw, other than giving Ronnie the flowers, the most romantic we saw. Gonch, because Gonch and Ronnie were off at this point.
Yeah.
And you do see a scene where Gonch is trying to talk to Ronnie and he's trying to ask her something. And Ronnie says, oh, Gonch, just spit it out. And he goes, you're friends with Mandy Fremont, aren't you? And you're like, you idiot.
Not that.
Well, Ronnie just walks away. Ziggy told Ronnie that Gonch was after a date with Mandy, but Gonch said she was just a business contact. And you see then Gonch trying to be all like intellectual and intelligent, and because he knows that she's good at French and he wants her to help with the French homework, he sits there with a copy of Les Mis on his desk. To show Mandy that he's a man of culture and sophistication was his words. And she did see it and start talking to him about it. But Mr. Mackenzie comes over and tells him to put the book away. And there's the big misunderstanding then comes because Ziggy and Robbie are walking past the community centre. And Ziggy's talking about like some of the bands they have on in the community centre. And they see a sign for Lady Positives to Britannia. And they see Mandy carrying stuff in and out, like speakers and that. So they assume there's a band on and she's involved. So they tell Gonch about it. And Gonch goes along to see Lady Positive to Britannia with Mandy. But can you remember what was actually on in the community centre instead?
Oh.
It wasn't a band.
No, go on.
It was Mr. Bronson sharing slides of his trip to Brittany.
Yes. Yes.
Brilliant. Oh. And there was also the street hockey.
Yeah.
Could you actually play? Because you seem to do all right on the skates there.
They cut that. No, not mine.
they made it because they made it look like Ziggy couldn't play. Because that was the whole point of it. Like,
yeah, no, I remember because we for some reason we were doing all of that in Hatfield. I remember we were doing quite a lot of that. I guess we couldn't do it in Boreham Wood, so we had to do it in this old place in. Yeah, I don't think I was really not. Okay. Skating wasn't really my thing.
Right, okay. And then this was the time when Danny Kendall had gone missing along with Bronson's car.
Yeah.
And Gunch and the lads were running a sweepstake on when he was going to come back.
Yeah.
And Mauler and Ted tried to muscle in, demanding half the money. And they were basically they were going to go for Mauler because he wanted the money. And Gunch had arranged to meet Mandy, but they dragged him along because they wanted to get Mauler. And Ziggy then starts arguing with Trevor, and Mauler and Ted turn up, and there's that chase scene then through like the estate and
I remember, and
that's when it ended with Gonch and the lads finding
the car
with Danny's body inside. Now, obviously the build up to that was quite comedic with the chase and everything like that. But when they actually find him, does the atmosphere change? Did the atmosphere change when you're filming that scene?
I think because that was like the
it was like the big reveal, wasn't it? Like
and it was in the 5 years that was the only death we had, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it was quite I'd say, yeah.
And that scene is mentioned in an episode of Spaced.
Yeah,
yeah, because they're watching. It's a Sunday morning. And I forget the characters. It's Simon Pegg and Jessica Hines, and they're watching the telly, and they're speaking to Nick Frost. They go, "Why? Where are you? You're missing Grange Hill." And Simon Pegg then goes to get up, and Jessica Hines goes, "Hang on, Danny Kendall's about to die," and you hear the door open and like a clunk of his head falling out. Yeah, that scene's mentioned in an episode of Spaced. Yeah, and that then leads on to Danny's memorial.
Yeah.
And they used the money that from the sweepstake that they had to buy a tree and plant a tree in Danny's memory.
Yeah.
And Gonch had to read out at the memorial. Yeah. You're already smiling. I don't know if you know what I'm about to ask you here. It's very obvious when you watch that scene that everyone's really trying hard not to laugh.
Yeah.
Do you remember that happening?
I do, but I don't know what. I don't know what specifically.
So there's a few things. One of them, George said, he said something in rehearsal that made everyone laugh and everyone started thinking about it. But there's been a few different things, but it's so obvious as the camera pans round. People are looking at the floor, they're covering their mouth, they're looking at the sky. It's so obvious that they're just really trying hard not to laugh.
And I think it's sometimes they're like, especially where you've got lots of people where I can only think that either when they were filming it, they just didn't think it was noticeable, or they just literally haven't got time to do it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll. Yeah. Let's go on. because it was a lot of people, wasn't it? It was a lot of
it's the whole class, it's the
everyone's
whole
there.
year,
Yeah.
and the teachers and that.
But I couldn't tell you what. I mean, honestly, there was a lot of. I'd say, especially in that final year, I think George, John, and me, but would set each other off with things. Really
brilliant. Okay, and then there's the Isle of Wight trip.
Yeah.
Where you must have had a laugh there, and especially with like the bit where it's Mandy's birthday, so they stop at the terminal to go, and Gunch runs into the town to buy her a present. But while he's in the town, he sees the ferry going.
Yeah.
And Mr. Mackenzie waits for him. And when the coach gets there, Gunch is already there.
Already there because we've got the catamaran.
The catamaran.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic.
So Mr. Mackenzie then turns up. He rolls. He basically rolls down a hill. The kids are all working. Mr. Mackenzie lands on top of Gunch and demands his money for the taxi and for him getting the catamaran as well.
Yeah.
At that time, Gunch and Mandy were pretty much on there. Like, even though Gunch was still trying to get to help with the homeworks, because that was still going on in the background. And there's a bit where they go on the steam train and they see all the kids, like from the school and the other school over there, going to the front. Then they see all the teachers going to the back. So they go, we're going this middle carriage. But the lads turn up and jump in their carriage, expecting it to be a corridor along this. And there wasn't one.
Yeah.
So Gunch and Mandy were stuck with these lads. You were very sharply dressed in that episode, I have to admit, like, because it was a...
Was it a jumper?
Late 80s, early 90s. No, you had a suit on for that one.
Did I have a suit on? I was thinking we had matching sort of wool jumpers at some point. I can't remember. They're wearing a suit.
Yeah. And the girls told Gunch they wanted to buy Mandy a birthday cake. And he was like, yeah, it's a good idea. But they asked him for some money towards it. And he said he was skint. So he asked Mandy if he could borrow a $5 from him. Brilliant. And the girls knew that Gunch was spending more time with Mandy, but they were still going on about how it was for their coursework. So that for the homework service. But she said she wasn't going to give him it because she didn't think that, she should do all the work and everyone else get the benefits. So she then suggested they should start a computer dating service.
Yes.
Instead. And they also suggested the idea of a prom to Mrs. McCluskey. And that was the first time I think anyone in England had ever heard of a prom, because it's like it's the done thing now. But we always had school discos in our time. And they combined those two ideas and decided to set up a dating thing for the prom.
I know who one of the pairs was.
Go on.
Mauler and Big Tell.
Because when they were reading the writing, he couldn't read Mauler and he thought it was Maureen.
Yeah. I remember.
And the thing with that computer dating service was Gunch told Ziggy and Robbie that they were going to be selling the introductions for 25p, but don't tell Mandy because she doesn't want us to make any money off it. So it was Mauler and Big Tell, and Gunch then spends the rest of the day trying to avoid Mauler.
And then I remember my sleeve gets pulled off, doesn't it?
That's at the prom. Yeah, that was at the prom. Yeah. But Gunch was also wanting to get interviewed by the radio reporter. I can't remember her name, but she was in Alan Partridge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Sort of blonde, curly hair.
Yeah, but Gunch was caught by Mauler a few times, and they were always interrupted.
Yes, yeah. You mean little squeaks
until the time when Ziggy and Robbie are getting interviewed by her, and we see in the background outside the door, Mauler landing one on him. And then the next thing, Gunch has got a big plaster across his nose. And Gunch then, his last money-making scheme was when that radio reporter had been on the radio, he made tapes of it and was trying to sell it around the school. Radio, Grange Hill on the radio, it was. He was trying to sell it, but never. And like you say, the prom happened. He turned up in that rented suit.
Yeah.
And during the prom, Mauler was after Trevor because he was dressed as Rambo, and no one could be else to be dressed as Rambo. Gonch and the lads decided to help him. There was a scuffle, and then Gonch's suit, the sleeve was ripped off. But we never saw Gonch again after that, the end of fifth year. Whose decision?
Because it was George. It was George's last one, but they made a big point of that. It was
going back to Liverpool.
But a bit like you said, sometimes you have these inexplicable absences. Holo disappeared. And I think, as I said, when series 10, when I was off for 8 weeks, it was explained I was in. Yeah. We had a storyline that I was in Saudi, but Laura Regan just
it wasn't.
Just turned back up again. So you have kind of some of these gaps sometimes. But I'd already deferred I hadn't sort of done it sort of purposely, but I'd started trying to do. I thought I'd do my A levels at evening class, and it wasn't working out. And I think they just said, are you going to do? I think they never guaranteed you, but I think they just tested the water and said, you're thinking of. If we write you, would you want to consider doing, next year? Yeah. And I think from a fairly early point, I said, no, I think I'm going to sort of go back to school and finish my A levels and what have you. So it was never really on the cards that I would stay after but yeah, they didn't mention it. It was just.
Okay. And so how did you feel about having to leave then? I suppose it might be different with it being your idea.
I mean, I suppose there's part of me thinking that, it was quite good money and I was enjoying it, but I was aware that I was really, not finishing my studies, and it was never going to get easier, to go back and do A levels in college, not at school, in the sixth form. So I'd already I tried evening classes, and I'd been at one sixth form college, and then eventually I went to Holland Park and sort of joined the sixth form. So I was a year older than the others. And I think if I had stayed, it would have been even harder to try and get back. Because it's very, I mean, we were doing quite a lot of charity football games at the weekend, which was fantastic as well. We got to played at Goodison.
Yeah, I was there for that.
Yeah,
I was there at that one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because we had Mark Baxter.
Mark really Baxter scored that. I remember he scored that worldie. I remember that. I was in because he was on the. For anyone that knows Goodison, he was on the Bullens Road side. I was in the main stand, and I'm basically in line with him when he cut in. Yeah. and hit that curler. I was there for that. Yeah,
no, he was a fantastic player. I think he'd been with Orient or as a younger player. But yeah, and we had Mike Hooper in goal, didn't we? We had
yeah.
So we played, in and around those. Even after I'd finished playing, and I still played with these sort of TV entertainers. But we played at Goodison, played at Valley Parade, played at Craven Cottage, played EastEnders at Luton. Yeah, fantastic things going on. But it was, it would have been couldn't change my mind anyway. No, let me back in. Do it. And I kept in touch with, John, particularly Drummond. Saw a lot of him, before I went to university. So
well, what was the public reaction to Gonch?
I think it was one of those because of his character, because he wasn't a bully or wasn't sort of like the sort of big man or it was like a sort of vaguely sort of comical sort of character. You just sort of didn't have anything sort of against him. So I kind of never had any grief.
No,
at all. It was people just.
But I remember seeing you in that behind the scenes
program. Yeah.
And you were saying, you didn't really like the fame side of it. You said you liked the acting, but you did
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just
you
all
weren't keen on people
yeah, but
approaching
I
you all
think
the
it's
time. Like,
just a slightly unnatural kind of
yeah,
sort of dynamic, isn't it? Because they want that it means something to them,
yeah, yeah,
and they
yeah,
want to speak to you and find out, just how you're
yeah,
doing, whatever. And it might not always be the appropriate time for you. You could be
yeah,
with other friends who don't have anything to do with that. So I, mean, I was at normal school, normal sixth form, going, to things like that. And if it was just, my nan loved it.
yeah.
I got, we were in York. I'm guessing around 87, 88. So it was like, probably a sort of height of sort of popularity,
Yeah,
88, 89 maybe. And we were looking we were just walking around York city centre, and then suddenly, like, a few people spotted me, and then in the end, we ended up sitting down inside a shop and then sort of doing autographs. But my nan thought it was amazing. She said,
yeah,
What's
brilliant. See,
um?" So I never like because I'm not resenting it,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah,
understand it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not, but yeah, I would have said it's not something that's particularly. I don't know if any of them, even the people who had the passion and wanted to be actors and knew what the what comes with that in terms
yeah,
of if you are famous, what comes with it. I don't know if I mean most people I think are just accepting of it rather
yeah,
than maybe there are some who love it. Maybe there
yeah.
are people who really get something from that, but probably for most of them, it's like it can be sort of inconvenient
Yeah.
if you're doing something else or with other people who don't want to,
Yeah,
you feel a
especially
bit.
at a young age as well, when you're just
Yeah,
trying
I
to
mean,
do
I
your
think
own
we
stuff.
would
Like,
nowadays. I mean, I guess you don't. I don't think if you can get it now, can you? I mean, you just can't go. Then 9 million people watching it.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
no one watches. I mean, 9 million people watch England play football.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you don't really get even
No,
EastEnders now. I don't know what figures people watch.
Christmas Day they might get it, but
Yeah,
but that could be a stretch. Like,
yeah.
um,
So and obviously, we were quite available.
yeah,
You know what I mean? We got there's okay money for a 16, 17, 18 year old, but it wasn't enough to be driving around in limousines and so I didn't drive, so I was public transport everywhere. Uh,
yeah,
and also, it can't. I was really loving some of the perks of it. Like I say, playing these football games and various.
Well, you were on like,
I never got the. I think I was saying in the Christmas special. Oh, sorry, behind the scenes, because at that point the sort of personal appearances had started to kick in, certainly for the older ones who could go to the nightclubs and,
yeah,
and do it. So Ricky and Simon they were getting some decent money, and
yeah,
the thing, and I was never, I wasn't. He wasn't the sort of character that girls were going to be paying, for a
yeah,
autograph or a whatever, a kiss or whatever it
yeah,
would be. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, but playing in the football games and those sort of things. So I was taking and I think you can't,
But
you
you were on like, you did the rounds on telly as well, didn't you? Because you were in like
screen test or
screens, secrets out,
secrets out,
and going live.
going live,
You did that,
first
right?
class
Yeah, yeah, first class. Yeah,
in Glasgow with Debbie Greenwood.
yeah, yeah. Brilliant. But didn't you do that just as you'd started, or you hadn't actually been on?
One of maybe
I think it was that way. You hadn't actually been on
the
Grange Hill yet, but I think it was like the day or the week before,
we did
like you were getting introduced. You and was it Simone on it with you, or have I made that up
for which one?
for the first class or Secrets Out? It's one of them. I can't. Secrets Out was Mike Smith, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of them. You hadn't yet been on.
Yeah.
You were starting.
And I know we did with Philip Schofield, we did the promo for the series, for the first series we did in
Right,
Windsor Safari Park, me and Bradley, I think.
right,
And Philip
brilliant.
Schofield had been literally it was his first gig as well. Like the Broom Cupboard was like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
brand new thing, and he'd come from New Zealand, and
yeah,
yeah, we did a little
yeah. Because he's still got that little bit of a twang in
Terry
his
Nutkin
accent.
as well. Sorry,
Yeah, he's still got that little bit of a twang in
yeah,
some of them things that he was doing.
yeah.
Okay, so
But yeah, sorry, no, yeah. So I did do all of those because I'm if someone offers me something and it
yeah,
like something fun to do, then yeah, I was kind of doing
yeah,
it. But it was yeah, I was never I was never like asking for them.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? It was that
yeah,
someone would say, will you do it? And most of the time I'd say yes, which would like I say was probably, some of the stuff,
yeah,
I said when I should have been doing my essays, I
yeah,
was playing football in Goodison. Great,
yeah.
fantastic. But
Okay, so you left. You did your A levels.
yeah,
What did you do
eventually.
after that then?
So yeah, so the first I'd already missed a year, so I took my A levels when I was 19, and I didn't get great grades. I got like CDD.
Right.
Yeah, CDD. Um, and then because my mum's been involved in politics, she knew, she knew a few MPs, but I was doing government and politics, and she knew the MP for Hammersmith. So I spent most of 1989, 90 working 3 days a week for this MP,
Right.
voluntary. He paid for my lunches and my
Uh-huh.
travel card. And then I retook my politics A level and got a B. So I then had B, C, D. And for some reason, having done economics, geography, and government and politics, I thought I'm going to apply to do psychology. Right. So the grades weren't fantastic, and I was applying to do a subject that I had no, and I probably could have like gone through clearing or done something. But anyway, I didn't get any offers. And then 1990, 91. Well, sorry, the summer of 1990 was Grange Hill play. It
Right. Yeah.
was great.
Tucker's
I'd been
return.
doing, but I'd been at my nan's revising for my politics resit, and call came saying, "Do you want to go and do this Grange Hill musical?" And I said, "I don't say no." I said, "All right, yeah." And that was a fantastic summer, really,
Yeah.
really fantastic summer. I was living with my dad in Kilburn, and Fiona and Simon had a flat uh, about half a mile away,
Hmm.
and so they'd pick me up and we drive to Hornchurch and come back. I didn't drive, so they were. I don't think Fiona drove. I think Simon drove. Uh, then I worked for the during the Gulf War, 1990. I worked for this sort of anti-Gulf War coalition. Again, I got sort of expenses and whatever. And
Yeah.
I was then thinking about applying for university. So I applied for university in 1991 in politics and economics, which were my A levels. And so I went to Norwich, went to UEA,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
did my degree in politics and economics. And then because I didn't really have any plan and I'd been involved in the student union, I went for one of the sabbatical paid positions. So there was a finance officer. So I was 2 years finance officer. So you got paid, not a huge amount. But it's amazing how far £6,000 went. In 1994, I still felt like I could go out most nights. And then obviously uh, that finished in the summer of 96. I thought, what am I going to do now? So I went to Australia
Fair play.
for 18 months, came back, and I thought, what am I going to do now? Oh, yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll do law.
Right.
So I went back to university and did law conversion course. Um, and then I did the bar course in London, and it was already kind of then you apply for pupilages and what have you, and I was doing interviews, but they were, again, it was sort of unpaid. I didn't get one, and then I really needed work, need money. So I'd worked part time. Well, I'd worked sort of full time and part time just before I started in at Sussex University. I'd come back from Australia, and I'd been to a few casinos in Australia.
Right.
Big ones, like sort of, I've not been to Vegas, but Vegas style casinos, big resort casinos in
Yeah.
Sydney and Melbourne, Crown and Star City. And anyway, I was in Brighton, and there was an advert for a training school for a croupier. So I went along and did the training for about. It was very quick, actually. I got my license very quickly, and I kind of, because I'd been to some casinos in Australia, and I kind of knew and I used to play cards. But it wasn't. So anyway, I trained very quickly. Like in 3 weeks, I was on the tables dealing. Anyway, so I worked, and then I worked part time while I was studying, and then in the summer of 2000, I needed another job, and I was in London then. So I started in a casino in Leicester Square. Was there for 2 years, and then kind of, because I was pretty good at it. But the casino I was working in, it's only independent in London. They've got others outside London, in Sheffield, Hull, Leeds, Bradford, now Manchester, Napoleon's. There was no real chance for progression above the inspector. So have you ever been to a casino? But you have a dealer who deals the game, an inspector who watches the dealers, pit boss who decides where the dealers and the inspectors go and keeps track of how players are doing, how tables are doing, and then general manager. So and you very rarely get people coming in at a higher level. Most managers in casinos started as dealers. Most general managers started as dealers. It's kind of like very, very occasionally you'll get people who might come from some other hospitality business, generally at the highest level, where they don't need specific, like so much technical knowledge, because they've got other people who can do that for them. But in general, most people. So anyway, so I thought I wanted to try and progress a bit, and so I moved to Gala, who then became Grosvenor, and so I then basically I was within 3 years, I sort of did a trainee manager program, and then I think May 2005, I was a manager in London, which was quite quick for. I basically wasn't a pit boss.
Right.
I've kind of been a dealer, an inspector. Then I'd done a trainee manager program, and the trainee manager program kind of sort of just pitched me in at manager level. So I never did the pit boss bit, which, especially as things became tougher, and you had to sort of do some stuff. When I was from 2005 to the pandemic. Not the pandemic, the financial crisis in 2008.
Right.
And the smoking ban. There was about 3 years where it was a very, very good job.
Yeah.
So London casinos in those years, we had a box at Chelsea. I was taking people we were going racing. We were going I was eating in our restaurant, a glass of wine and a meal with with customers. It was, I'd finished the night signing off the checks with a glass of Chablis, and it was
basically just taking money off people like Gunch.
Yeah, it was. But it was. They won sometimes. Well, but it was that particular time. It was. I could literally, my job was just to. I had to do some sort of
look after
marketing plans and little promotions and what have you. But in my day to day, it was generally just looking after the.
Yeah. So is that what you're doing now then?
So then I did that in various casinos in London until February 2019, when I took voluntary redundancy, because I'd had kind of then, so what I'd basically been doing it for 20 years.
Right.
And I thought I've got about 20 years working left. Do I want to still be doing that? And actually, the last casino I was working at, the Vic in London, the kind of the job that I was doing and the hours that I was working was pretty much as good as I could ask
Yeah,
for, really. You know what I mean? For a 5 day week. Um, but there are no guarantees. Is it most of them actually less now than before the pandemic? Most of the casinos are 24 hours.
right. Yeah,
You've got obviously different shift patterns depending on your role. You require extra flexibility. Maybe they're slightly better now, especially with family
uh-huh.
issue. I'm not sure. I don't know. But it was a concern, and I thought also, did I really want to just be doing casinos for?
Yeah,
So then I went to Poland. So I was going to um, go into teaching. That was the plan.
right,
I did some school experience in primary schools
right,
in Stevenage, where I was living, um, and I wasn't convinced. I just
right.
and then we thought about, because of the age of the children, going to Poland. So we just kind of basically we went to Poland, and I did teach, but I taught adults, uh, all private lessons, so
Right.
online, face to face, children from sort of 9 to 16, 17.
Uh-huh.
Adults teaching just conversational English, but also some business.
All right. Yeah.
Um, but then we'd always planned on it being sort of 5 years, just so the kids could become sort of bilingual. And
Yeah.
well, three of them are. The youngest was born in Poland, and he's only 4, and he's still learning English. Never mind Polish. Anyway, he'll get there. And then we were coming back to England, and there was a we didn't know where or what we would do really, but my wife's sort of graphic designer, and there was a job in Scarborough, so in the casino. So I'm back,
Right.
so I kind of, because on a day-to-day level, I kind of, I'm quite good at it and I enjoy it,
Yeah.
so it wasn't such a difficult thing to do, and they're very nice family business in Scarborough. It's only like an independent
Yeah.
casino in Scarborough, and here I am.
Brilliant. And are you still in touch with anyone from your Grange Hill days?
Not on a no, I would
Right.
say not on a uh, regular basis. No,
Right.
no.
Okay.
But people, like we said at the very beginning, Erkan has my number, and
Right. Yeah.
uh,
He's got everyone's number.
reminds me of my responsibilities.
Yeah.
You
He,
know,
he's got everyone's number, Aiken.
yeah, yeah.
He's like
and
the
and
linchpin.
and they will, like, it's a shame that I'm going to be working, but I'd love to have gone down and seen the play
Yeah.
that Alison and Ruth and Lisa and
Yeah.
Fiona. But it's not possible. But I say those sort of things. It's lovely to catch up and see what they're doing. I went to.
Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay. Well, we are coming towards the end, John. For anyone that's still with us, because this is a mammoth. This is a long one. This one. So I'm going to ask you the same few questions that I always
Yeah,
ask at the end of every episode. Okay.
yeah,
So over the last couple of years, there's been talk of a Grange Hill movie in the works,
yeah.
written by Phil Redmond. What do you think of the idea of a Grange Hill movie?
Um, I think it depends how they do it. I guess. I mean, because lots of things get. I was just reading about, Adam's family. It kind of, whether it was a series or a film or a series again, or it gets rehashed, remade, and it brings something different, perhaps with different times, or there's another. What was the other one? There's another film just come out
He did
that's
Beetlejuice got redone, didn't it? And
yeah. No, I'm just thinking there's another one that's a film's just come out that's kind of oh, maybe Jurassic World. I don't
All
know,
right, yeah, yeah, yeah,
20 years, it's as good as people say it's as good as the first one, but they've kind of just, it depends how the characters and it's like any movie or anything. It's characters, storyline,
yeah,
writing. That if those things are there, I think it's like, isn't it like Oasis doing
yeah,
a tour. I'm not comparing us with Oasis, but I'm just saying I think there is for those people in their what 40s to 60s.
yeah.
Yeah.
I, I, I went. It was brilliant. I
Oh
went.
yeah, yeah,
Heaton
yeah,
Park was brilliant. Yeah,
yeah. No, I mean I think because you've got these people who are they there is some comfort in this nostalgia. There's like a kind of if I went back to the Isle of Wight, I would get some,
yeah,
or even to Coventry, if I was somewhere near the canal. So no, of course, I think if there's a storyline, the characters and the writing, then why not?
yeah,
It's it's a
brilliant. And if you were asked, would we see a return of Gonch Gardner?
well, again, it depends on what the I can't just suddenly say I'm not say I don't say I've just said I don't say no to
This
many
isn't an
things.
audition,
I
by the
don't
way.
say yeah no I I kind of if things are going to be uh kind of enjoyable and interesting to do. I don't really say no. I've not got any like other agenda. It's like, and also in a way, I guess for a few of us, it's a bit of a no lose, isn't it? Really, if they say, if you're an established actor, you
Yeah,
might be worried about being associated with something that may not be
yeah,
you'd be worried about, is it going to be good? Is it going to be, and it doesn't matter if you're like, so you're, but for, for us for those of us who, do the odd bit here or there, not me, I mean, but other people who might want to be involved, then it's kind of like, well, it's probably just
yeah,
something fun to do.
yeah,
But as I said, there's a person who's, if it is getting off the ground, then it's their storyline, their characters, their writing, and it's going to be what. I mean, I don't know what's the latest.
I haven't heard anything for a while. I'm guessing it's all down to funding, isn't it? It's it was
Yeah,
all over the news
yeah,
for a while, and then nothing.
yeah,
But I guess it's going to come down to funding, isn't it? And I just don't know. Just
yeah.
don't know. Okay, so you said earlier on that you weren't really a fan of Grange Hill, but you caught it, you knew about it. Did you have a favourite character?
Before I was in it,
Yeah, before you. I mean, it doesn't really matter, like, but
I think probably the one that resonated with me was Pogo. I think,
right,
yeah, I think he was like Tucker was a bit. I definitely wasn't watching the first couple of series of.
right, yeah,
So if I caught up with it, I was definitely watching more Tucker's Luck than
yeah,
the first few series. And then I guess if you're talking about 1980, 81, then Gripper Gripper was the most significant
yeah,
character I knew, but he wasn't something that I think I'd in that generation. Then it was Pogo was the one that I thought was more.
right, okay.
I think
And
so.
if you couldn't have played Gunch, which character would you like to have played?
Mr. Bronson.
Brilliant, brilliant.
He had a very, specific character, didn't he? I think
And he was brilliant.
yeah,
The character was brilliant. Well, Michael Sheard obviously
yeah,
was brilliant,
yeah,
but Bronson, and just for the lines the
yeah,
one-liners that he had. Though I think it's only on when I've been rewatching it for this,
yeah,
you realise how funny some of the things are that he
yeah, yeah,
says as well. Like
yeah,
he wasn't obviously he was that strict teacher,
yeah,
but it wasn't just audible things he was saying all the time. Because some of the things,
yeah,
what he says to Danny Kendall, you have a tendency to veer off like a defective supermarket trolley, and you just think that's tremendous.
yeah,
Coming
yeah,
up with stuff like that, brilliant, brilliant.
yeah.
Okay, so the final question then, John, is why do you think there's still such affection for Grange Hill?
Um, I mean, I think it's going to be impossible to replicate, but I think it was just what do they say, like the sort of zeitgeist. It was like it was what people were talking about and what they could sort of feel they could identify with, because it was their, it was a school that, while it had characters and storylines that weren't in every school, there were probably things that could happen in their school.
Yeah.
And I think, probably as they went on, I suppose they had to exaggerate some things. Like any program has to exaggerate a little bit, so you might not get someone exactly like Gonch, but someone who maybe thinks about making some money from doing
there was
something.
always someone, like I said earlier on. There was always someone.
And I think it was just the fact that it was, because with the fact that they repeated it 6 months of the year, probably you could rely on it to sort of and maybe there was a bit of rebelliousness, knowing that their parents probably didn't really approve, but and some parents really didn't let their children watch it, but then they'd maybe watch it at their friends, or they'd talk about it, or and I think I think it is just sort of memories for people, sort of good memories of how things used to be before mobile phones, and you could just
that's it. The fact that everyone it was on. If you didn't see it, you missed it.
Yeah,
like you couldn't just the next day.
Wait 6 months and watch it.
You couldn't just do your catch up unless you did. Like some people did record it, but for the majority of us, if you missed it, you missed it.
Yeah.
Well, John, thank you so much.
My pleasure
for coming on and giving us your experiences. It's been brilliant. Like I say, it's a mammoth one. So if you are still with us, you're still listening, thanks very much. But yeah, no, it's been great, especially having you on for the 100th episode as well. I know you don't believe it, but Gonch Gardner really is one of the most popular characters, Grange Hill. It's all we always talked about. Whenever I put a thing on, who do you want interviewed? Everyone's like, can you get John Holmes on? We want to hear Gonch. Honestly, one of the most requested we've had the whole time. Like it has been brilliant speaking to you. And can I just say thanks to everyone who listens as well, because getting to 100 episodes, like it's something I never thought. It's something I never thought I'd do. I know the very first episode, Ricky said to me, I hope this runs and runs. And I was like, I don't know if it's going to, but to get to 100 episodes, I've got to say thanks to everyone who listens as well, because if it wasn't for you lot, there's no way I'd be able to be doing it. Like, so it's brilliant. I love doing it. I love getting something new out to the Grange Hill fans. And to be honest, I've said it, I might have said it before, when I'm sitting here on Zoom waiting for the person's name to flash up, it's like, are they going to come on? And when they do, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get to talk to Gunch. Oh my God, I'm going to get to talk to Fate. You know what I mean? So thank you to everyone that's listened as well. It's been brilliant. But John, thank you so much for coming on.
Honestly, no problem at all.
And talking to us. So it's brilliant. And to anyone that's listening, I'll speak to you next time. Cheers. Thanks. Bye-bye.